Hello, and welcome to...
He cheated. That was my hello. He took it from me.
Wait. Okay, redo.
No. Hello.
And welcome to...
The Nick.
The Jake.
And
the
movies.
Episode 3.
Revenge of the Sith.
What happens when we get to episode 10 and then you don't have Star Wars?
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
And then Solo.
Solo.
And then
Rebels.
The Search for Spock.
The Search for Spock. Wrath of Khan.
My favorite Star Wars films.
What's going on, Nick?
Oh, God. Not much. I've been reading a whole lot of DC comics.
Nice.
Because I think, as we mentioned, I have the DC Universe app.
You do, yes.
And it's fantastic. And I have been very nerdy and reading as many comics as I can. Because I've been running through all the Arkham games. And I just got to Origins. I had to dig out my PS3.
Oh, okay,
and, I found my old copy of Arkham Origins. And I realize now I haven't played any of the side stuff.
What, for Origins?
For Origins.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like playing a new game, and it's been fantastic.
Nice.
But I read an old, like, 70s, maybe early 80s storyline, A Death in the Family.
Okay, yeah, I think I've heard of that.
That's the one where there was a huge vote that the company had done. Like, basically, like, mail in or call in, I think it was.
Right.
If you want Jason Todd to live
Back
or die.
when you had to mail physical items to companies.
But I think this one was call in. But he basically it was call in and say whether you want Jason Todd to live or die.
Oof.
Yeah. Well, they
well,
voted.
we all know how that went.
Some people speculate that they were going to do it anyway.
Ooh, really?
So,
a little bit of controversy, a little bit of conspiracy.
Because A Death of a Robin would sell well.
You're
no
right,
matter
it
what.
would.
And I read it, and it's good. I bet it was better at the time.
Right.
But it's a situation. It's definitely dated, and because it was 70s, and
was it really the 70s?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Batman's been around since the 40s.
Right. Yeah.
So that's still 30 years.
I feel like that's just like more recent in the lexicon of the Batman canon.
I think that's it.
Maybe it's because they just keep bringing it back because it's so not entertaining, but just like captivating.
The thing about it is, I think it's more entertaining with the variations that they've made later. Because the story itself is very matter of fact, and the only difference between that and a normal Batman story is Batman just didn't make it back in time.
Right. Okay.
Like it doesn't feel very special in any sense, other than the fact that Robin died.
Okay, so it's like just another story, but Robin ends up dying.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I think that with that material, future writers would do a lot better job.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I've been reading...
was the crowbar even a part of the original story? Oh, okay, so they've kept that throughout the whole...
Yeah, because it's brutal.
Yeah.
But, you barely get to see that, of course, because it was a comic book, and, like, you just see him waving it. And then after that, like, there is a little tragedy, because basically he finds out, like, Jason Todd finds out that his mother isn't really his mother.
Oh, wow.
And he goes on a journey to try to find his birth mom.
Is Jason Todd the one who was part of the circus?
What? No, Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson. Okay,
but technically, yeah, because like that his original backstory was also he was part of a circus.
Really?
There are
Batman's just hanging around circuses, isn't he?
There are a lot of joke theories that once Dick Grayson left, or even Dick Grayson as well, Batman keeps creating circumstances to create orphan children to create people like him.
So Batman is killing these parents.
People. Yeah, that's the joke theory. Well, what supports it even more is one of them, and I think it's Jason Todd. One of the Robins dyes their hair black.
Oh.
I don't think that's the case in continuity anymore. But the part of that theory was that Batman made him dye his hair to make him more like him.
Part of the outfit.
Yeah. And like I remember when I was a kid, I first read Under the Red Hood. Not Red. I'm sorry. It was the animated movie Under the Red Hood.
Right. Okay.
And that is a much more brutal and better way of showing how that character died.
Right.
Because in the original story, he just happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like Joker's like, I didn't even know you were here.
Jason Todd.
Yeah.
Okay.
In this foreign country. And so now that you're here without Batman, you're mine, kind of thing. And in the animated movie, it was much more matter of fact. Maybe that's the wrong. It was much more on purpose.
Calculated.
Yeah, he brought him to this place, and he was there to do that. Like Jason Todd was tied up, and Batman is racing against the clock to get there.
Right.
And he just doesn't get there in time.
Right.
But I love that story because do you know where the Red Hood comes from?
I'm pretty well. I've read Killing Joke. Is that where it comes from?
No, Red Hood is technically the Joker. Well, yeah, actually, yes, you're right. I'm sorry.
When John Doe goes to rob whatever chemical plant he used to work at, and he wears like a giant red thing.
The red, and he becomes the Joker.
Yeah, because he falls in because he can't see shit in it.
Exactly. Well, and a lot of continuities, Batman bumps him off the edge. That's like, and that's part of the Killing Joke. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And what I like about that is it's probably not completely accurate.
Sure.
Because he even says it like, if I'm gonna have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice, which is a great line.
Okay. Yeah.
But Jason Todd takes up that mantle as the Red Hood and becomes his own vigilante. And I've been reading the new 52 run of Red Hood and the Outlaws, which is Jason Todd basically back to life from the Lazarus Pit.
Oh right, of course.
For reasons that we don't. I'm sure they've been revealed now because that comic started in 2011, but for reasons we don't quite know. And he was alive before he went into the Lazarus Pit. Like, he died, and then he was apparently in a zombie state, and they threw him in the Lazarus Pit, and it kind of brought him back to like personality.
Okay.
It's interesting stuff, and it's a team of him and two other like side heroes that have fallen from grace but are still trying to do good.
Right.
One is Starfire.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and because it's the new 52, they're like, everything's got to be gritty and things like that. So
Sure.
her backstory is, I believe she was in the Titans, but her backstory is more she's very jaded, and she's more hiding on Earth for protection because she's bad. Her sister, basically to stop their planet from warring with a different one, traded her. And they kept her in prison for 10 years on this other planet.
Starfire?
Yeah, Starfire.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. And then the other team member they have is, I forget his real name, but he's Arsenal now, and he was Speedy. He was Green Arrow's sidekick.
Oh, really? I didn't
I
even know Green Arrow had a sidekick.
Yeah, Speedy. And the ironic thing is that even though it's the new 52, his backstory was so messed up that they actually lowered it down. Like they made it a little bit like better for him.
Right.
Because originally he was a hard drug addict.
Ooh, okay.
And Green Arrow found that out and was not pleased and did some stuff he probably shouldn't have.
Oh.
But now, it was the era of comics, and it's
sure,
and that kind of thing is.
When
now.
did New 52 start?
Well, that's different. Now he's an alcoholic.
Okay.
And that's 2011.
Yeah.
So they toned it back a little. Still made him something like a horrible thing to be addicted to.
Yeah, sure.
But
a disease that he has. Yeah.
Exactly. And they toned it back from really hard drugs, but
sure.
Which I thought was funny because everybody else is like they made much worse and much more drugs. But I've been reading that, and that's been a lot of fun.
Cool, man. Cool.
What have you been up to?
I watched a good amount of stuff this week, actually. Besides watching your recommendation, Man of Steel.
Well, yeah, which I can't wait to talk about later.
It's gonna be a fun fistful.
Yeah,
I feel like for both of us. I also watched the extended cut of Hateful Eight. That's on Netflix.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen Hateful Eight like maybe 3 or 4 times now. I saw it twice in theaters as well. And I always loved it. I always thought it was one of his best, and it was a really big. It was really high on my list of Tarantino films.
It's probably I've seen it at least 4 times now.
Yeah,
and that's not including the extended cut. I've seen that once, but I think I've seen the original movie like 4 times.
Yeah, and I was just looking for something to watch, and that's on Netflix, and it's always been something I wanted to watch, and I really liked it. It was a really cool experience. Being able to go like, oh, that's in the movie. Now it's back to the regular movie. Oh, that's not in the movie. Wait, no, now we're back. A lot of stuff with OB.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true. They had a lot of dialogue with him that I liked.
Yeah, which is great. Now, do you think the extended cut was necessary per se?
necessary or not, I like it. I'm glad it exists.
Yeah, sure. But like, do you think like we needed to know all these bits of dialogue and all this information? Because I don't think we did, but I like that we got it.
Yeah. No, they're not necessary, but I think in the case with all of his movies, you could trim out a lot of fat.
Sure.
But he's one of the only directors that are around now that can throw in mundane dialogue or a shot that takes like 10 minutes to finish and still make it interesting.
Yeah.
Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
You could wipe out like 45 minutes of that movie. Like the 5-minute sequence it takes for Brad Pitt to make mac and cheese. Like you don't need that.
Yeah.
But it lets you get to know the character a little bit better.
Yeah, sure.
But,
yeah, you see him in his habitat and all
exactly.
that stuff.
But it's absolutely not necessary to the plot that they've made.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could trim it out and you could keep the movie as is, but I think it adds to the world a little bit. Not necessary, but it's fun. It's colorful.
No,
you know
yeah, I completely agree with you. I really did appreciate all the extra stuff. I found it really fun to watch it again as someone who really loves the movie, and all the stuff with Obi, and I think the most new stuff appears in episode 2, which is when they get to the cabin at first, I believe. And then they're just like talking to each other and stuff.
Obi and Marquise or Marquess. Their deal is a little bit spicier.
Yeah, because stuff happens and they got to bring bodies places, and Obi makes deals with Marquess. It's a lot of fun. Poor Orby. He didn't deserve anything that happened to him.
The only good or decent person.
Yeah, he was so wholesome. It still is so sad to watch.
It was played by Michael Parks' son.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Very cool. Cause he was also in Kill Bill, right?
Yeah, he played Michael Parks' son.
As Michael Parks' son.
Which was fantastic. I love... It's unfortunate that Michael Parks died, because I bet you he would have been in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, probably.
Because Quentin Tarantino loves him so much. Kevin Smith tells a story about how he went to Quentin's house with Michael Parks.
Oh, wow.
And Quentin Tarantino pulled out a VHS tape that like he had mixed like himself, like it was something that he had recorded, like taken it from a bunch of other stuff.
Like a home video that he made?
Yeah, it wasn't a home video. It was just like a bunch of different things from movies spliced together.
Okay, yeah.
That he had edited, and it was his Michael Parks greatest hits compilation. And there was a clip of Michael Parks in like a teen volleyball movie.
Really?
And Tarantino talked about it with such passion. He was just like, this movie is awful, it's garbage, but then you walk into the scene as the coach and you set it on fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
And I've never seen a bad performance from him. I've only felt that way about maybe one actor, and that's I believe William Hurt.
Okay, yeah.
Who's Thunderbolt Ross and all the Marvel movies.
Right, yeah, okay.
I had seen History of Violence with Viggo Mortensen.
I still haven't seen that.
I thought, first hour, it's good, it's decent.
Right, yeah.
And
I always see it bundled with American History X.
As
like a double movie.
They share none of the same themes, but, well, except for maybe, like, regrets.
Sure, yeah.
But I could see that just for kind of, like, the tone of each movie. Like, they're similar in tone. But, like, the first hour is good, and you've got Ed Harris as like, a minor villain, and he's always good. But then William Hurt shows up as, like, the main villain and the brother of the main character at the last half hour, and he sets the whole thing up.
Right, cool.
It's so good. It's great. It was my first time ever seeing William Hurt.
Okay,
and I was just like, this guy is incredible.
Right, yeah.
This guy's in other movies.
Yeah, right. I need to see everything. But yeah, no, Hateful Eight, it was great.
The Grateful Mates.
The Grateful Mates, Reservoir 8, The Hateful
Reservoir
Dogs.
8, yeah.
Shout out to the commentary tracks.
That no one will listen to.
Go listen to our commentary tracks. But yeah, so I did that, and I also watched The Invisible Man.
Yeah, that's right.
So, how did you feel about Invisible Man?
I liked it. I think it's good. I think the problem that a few people had with it is that it's a dated concept that
Yes.
it may maybe not hold up so well, but I think they did a good job with that. And I believe there were talks about a sequel, and I don't know if that'll happen.
Right.
But I'd watch one. I mean, they're still like with the Dark Universe stuff. They're still trying to set up like their weird Dark Avengers.
Yeah.
Of like in each time.
Is Tom Cruise even still a part of it, or is
no?
he gone?
Well, it's gotten canceled twice.
Yes.
And
because Johnny Depp was supposed to be the original Invisible Man.
that would have been interesting.
I don't think so.
I don't. Not in this movie.
No.
I think
maybe in a different movie.
In a more fantastical movie where the Invisible Man is the main character and not a villain.
Sure.
Maybe that would work, but I think it would have to be more fun. I don't find Johnny Depp menacing.
Neither do I.
And he's especially in something like that.
Sure.
I wouldn't be able to see that. But overall I like the Invisible Man. I thought it was a good go at that, and I'm excited to see what they do more. There's a lot of things they couldn't do again, I think. Like, you're one and done with a lot of the tricks that they pull in that first movie.
Sure.
So it'll be harder to make a sequel, but I'd be in.
Yeah, I could see. I've since reading reviews, some people have like posed plots for sequels, and and some of them sound cool. But for me, this movie, I think it was a miss. I don't think I don't think I liked it. I think, like you said, the concept is dated, so a lot of the scenes came off silly to me. But that being said, there are scenes that are like great. Like moments where she's just like walking around doing something and cooking, and then all of a sudden like the heat gets turned on higher and like a rag falls into the pan, and all of a sudden it starts going on fire. Like, that stuff is really good tension. But then
what you want is a ghost movie.
yeah, I think that's what it is. Because when she starts getting dragged around and she's like punching at nothing, and at one point where she's like, the Invisible Man is like, I guess on top of her, like holding her down, she like reaches for plates and starts like smashing them on nothing, and it reminded me of a skit from Eric Andre where he like had guests on and he was just taking plates and like smashing them over his head.
I get that. But I personally would find that whole situation absolutely terribly horrific.
Sure, yeah.
If I was in it. It's like that's awful. I think that's where our differences come in when it comes to horror movies.
Yeah.
Is I'm easily able to put myself in the eye of the victim. And that's why I think slashers and things like that are scarier to me than say like anything more supernatural, mystical. And some of it's horrifying. Like Hereditary, I thought was incredibly horrific in its own way. It's just being haunted. And I'll be honest with you, you know what gave me the goosebumps for many years? And it's funny because I said that by accident, but it was a Goosebumps story.
Okay, yeah. We talked about Goosebumps a little bit like last week.
On this?
Off the podcast.
Oh, okay, I was going to say. Yeah, no, it was I don't remember the name of the episode, but it was the one where this girl goes into this like oddity shop because she needs a mask for a Halloween costume.
Okay, yeah.
And she finds this like old man mask, and what it does is it starts like becoming her face.
Okay, yeah.
Slowly, like it becomes her skin. And like at one point she's being chased by a bunch of floating masks.
Right.
And as a kid,
that's fucked up, man.
When I was like 5, I remember like watching it and going upstairs to like go to the bathroom or something, and I kept looking over my shoulder to make sure that I wasn't being followed by a bunch of masks. But other than that, like as I got older, it was mostly like real things in movies that would horrify me more.
Sure.
Like a person scares me more than a ghost.
Yeah.
You know, in that sense. And I think that's why like I love the Rob Zombie horror movies, because not Lords of Salem, because I think that's meh.
Which I haven't seen. But
no, I'd say give it a go. It's
maybe
different, but
I might appreciate it more.
I think you'd like it more than his slashers.
Sure, yeah.
But I think just being in the hands of these awful, horrible people would be the most terrible thing that could ever happen.
Yeah.
So that's why I like those as horror movies.
Yeah, and for me, it's like knowing that they're people I can fight back against them, and that's what makes them less scary than like an entity or something I cannot physically like go after or something like that. But
that's fair.
Yeah, no, that's cool that we have that difference. But speaking of Hereditary, let me give my thoughts on Hereditary real quick.
You liked it though.
Well, okay, so I saw Midsummer. We saw Midsummer. And
we're about to throw hands.
I really liked Midsummer.
We have the opposite.
We
opinions,
also never talked about Midsummer and the horror stuff. So
no, we can talk about that a little bit here.
Yeah. So I really like Midsummer, and I spoiled myself. I have a tendency to read synopsis of movies that like I don't think I'm gonna watch.
I hate that.
I'm sorry. I disappoint you, but that's okay. And I read a synopsis for Hereditary like a while ago. And I ended up watching it, and it was good. I maybe great. I don't think it's one of the best horror movies of the decade.
Fair, yeah.
But it's good. I think Midsummer's better.
I completely disagree.
What was I talking about before this?
Invisible Man.
Invisible Man. Let's go back to Invisible Man, and then we'll get talked about Midsummer.
Okay. Well, because you were like, well, something about Hereditary.
Yeah. Well, you started Hereditary.
That's true. All right, fair enough. Yeah, Invisible Man. Finish your thoughts on that.
Invisible Man. I wasn't a huge fan. There are some really great moments. I really like the scene in the hospital.
Which one was that? What happens?
Well, without getting into spoilers,
yeah,
it's with a bunch of cops in the hospital, and the Invisible Man.
Oh
is there.
yes, yep. Okay, I
that
remember
scene
now.
is damn good.
Yeah,
and there's some great moments. I hate the suit. I think the suit is stupid.
In concept or in the way it looks?
It makes sense in concept because this is a thing that the military is doing.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense technology-wise, but it just looks dumb. And also...
well, I don't think that matters because it's what
it matters
the suit
to
does.
me, Nick.
It's what the suit does that matters. And the fact that when you're using it, you can't see it, does that bother you? That it looks dumb underneath the invisibleness of it?
Yes.
Well, then I wouldn't... I would definitely not hire you to use this in like a military situation because you'd get behind somebody and you just mumble, "Oh, this stupid fucking suit. I hate this fucking suit." And like you'd give away your position.
Yeah, I don't like the suit. But other than that, Elizabeth Moss is fine. She just screams and cries throughout the whole thing. But she's good at it. So
that's that's what it calls for.
Yeah, no, I'm not hating on her. I just think it's funny. Lee Winnell is the director. Have you ever? I think he wrote it too. Have you ever watched anything by him? He did Upgrade, and he did something else. I forget.
I really want to see Upgrade. I haven't gotten around to it yet.
I haven't gotten Upgrade either. I heard it was really good, actually.
A lot of people said it was a much better version of Venom.
Okay, yeah.
You like that kind of concept?
Oh, he did Insidious 3 as well, which I haven't seen.
It's the only one I haven't seen.
Okay, yeah. He's also an actor. Oh, you know why he's famous? He wrote Saw. And he starred in Saw alongside Carrie Lewis. Is that his name?
Is he the actor who's also in the Insidious
yes.
movies? Yes, okay. I know exactly who that is. Yeah.
Wait. I think he is, actually.
Yeah, I believe
I'm on Letterboxd right now. Yes, it says actor in Insidious. He's like James Wan's BFF, basically.
He's one of the Lin Shaye's character.
Specs is his name.
One of her
Insidious.
Her friends.
Okay.
The Lin Shaye character, yeah.
But yeah, Invisible Man, it's an for me, and you liked it, right?
I had a lot of fun with it, yeah. I thought it was, I try not to judge a lot of horror movies off of how well they're plotted and if they can actually scare me.
Sure.
Because often... if a horror movie is well plotted, it's usually a thriller more than anything else.
I agree with you on that.
So I try to just like if it can truly like get to me and get me scared, then I'll usually like it. And parts of The Invisible Man I thought were really genuinely horrific.
Do you get scared in horror movies easily?
No, it really
neither.
Depends on the situation.
Yeah. I find that I don't get scared, more so it's tension. And me being like, oh my god, come on, do this, like get out of there, like blah blah blah, you know.
That's why I like Alien because it's very there's nothing but tension.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Because even if you escape from the alien,
such a good movie.
it's great. It's my favorite of them all. And I've
Yes,
recently
100% me too.
I've gone back and I've rewatched Prometheus, and people hate that movie.
We like Prometheus.
I love Prometheus.
Yeah,
I think
I'm a
it's
big Prometheus defender.
It's flawed.
Sure.
But I like
Most movies are.
I like that movie a lot. And even though it's under Disney, his third and final prequel is finally moving forward.
What did you think about Covenant? Because we saw that together, right?
We did not. We saw it separately, but I think we both enjoyed it.
I think I was there. It was with Scott,
You
right?
saw it. No, I saw it.
And Zack?
I saw it with my dad.
Oh, okay, I see.
On Blu-ray.
Wow,
way
okay.
after it came out. Yeah. So, I like Alien Covenant.
Right.
I think it works better with there are 3, like Blade Runner 2049 had. There are 3 little short films
Sure.
that came with the Blu-ray. That
Oh,
flush
yeah,
around a
there
little bit more.
are short films for that, aren't there?
One is just like a commercial for like the Wayland Yutani android, which
Right.
was fun, and the other 2 let you get to know the crew a lot
And
better.
James Franco's in them, right?
James Franco is barely in them at all because
And he's not even in the movie.
He's in the
basically.
movie for a split second.
Yeah.
You see him on fire.
Nice.
That's it in the movie. That's all you see of James Franco, and then you see a picture of him later, and then
He got paid.
yeah. Why even have it be him? Because
I have no idea.
he's in the short films more than he is.
It could just be a dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Could have been anyone.
Yeah.
You could have had Danny.
I argue that having James Franco lessens the emotions.
It
for
does.
it.
Because it's distracting.
Yes, 100%.
It's like if that character could have been played by Danny McBride, while Danny McBride is already in that movie,
and he's so good in the movie.
He's great. He's
yeah.
he's one of the only people confirmed to be in the next one.
Because he survived, right?
I don't remember.
I think he did, because I think he piloted.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. He's confirmed to be in the next one, and I'm really excited.
Me too. Yeah.
He said they've been switching around. They were like, it might be 5 prequels, it might be 3, but now it is apparently just going to be, this is going to be the last one. It's going to lead directly into Alien, and at least to some degree, and he's excited.
I would watch pretty much any Alien movie made by Ridley Scott at this point. From here on out, like
Really?
him making movie. Yeah, because I don't think he's ruined it so far the way people think he's ruined with Prometheus and
Not at all.
and Alien Covenant. Because I also think Alien Covenant is a decent movie.
What I love about, because I like all the Alien movies, all the original 4. I think each one gets a little bit worse than the last.
I haven't seen 3
No, okay.
because it goes Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection,
Mhm.
right? Okay, so I've seen everything but Alien 3.
Yeah, Alien 3 is like the 3 is like cubed.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I
heard it's bad too.
all of
Fincher as well, right?
Yeah, it is David Fincher.
Yeah.
Each one I think gets a little worse. Although a lot of people argue with me saying Aliens is better, and that's fine. I get.
I think Aliens is not good.
No, it's a good action movie, but it's not. It doesn't have the same charm.
Compared to Alien, it's a Michael Bay shitfest, honestly. Like
I've never heard anyone
it's
say that.
bullshit.
That's great. But what's interesting about those movies is each one is basically the same movie, but by a different director and done in a different style.
Yeah, it's so true.
Which is really interesting, and because the 4th one is written by Joss Whedon.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's nothing but different ideas on how to like go about these.
Resurrection is gone from my mind. I couldn't tell you the plot if you put a gun to my head.
It's not good. It's not a good movie. There's some really bad alien CGI running.
Nice.
And things like that.
Love to see it.
But no, you wouldn't. Trust me, I've been there. It's not good. But yeah, no, I think that first one's the best, and I'm really excited for
We're on the
the
same
last
page
one.
with that.
And I think Alien Covenant ended on a really terrifying note.
Yeah, man.
And I like how he's taken it and he's gone back to making it horror again, like true horror, like the first one was. It's not quite, because the first one's a real slow burn.
Yeah, man.
But it's similar. But yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about Midsummer, because we never got a chance to talk about Midsummer. So first thoughts. I really enjoy Midsummer. I think it's a 4-star on my Letterboxd. Okay. What about you? You didn't enjoy it as much as I did.
Didn't like it that much. It was fine. I was disappointed because I had seen Hereditary.
Yes, and I had not. So that's 2 different point of views.
And I was like, because going from Hereditary to that, I thought it was a step down. But
Sure.
I didn't think it was a bad movie. I thought a lot of the visuals were great, but I thought that was the kind of the best part. I thought and tons of people disagree with me on this.
Mhm.
I thought that some of the characters were very unrealistic.
Sure,
Some
yeah.
of them were very realistic.
So who do you mean when you say unrealistic? Are you talking about the douche bro
the-
who vapes?
The boyfriend character.
What, really?
Yeah.
I think he's the most realistic character in the whole movie.
I think the main character was the most realistic character in the whole movie.
I agree she's very realistic, but I think the boyfriend is even more.
I think there are a lot of choices that he makes that are inconsistent.
Really?
Yeah, I don't because he is an asshole, but we're supposed to get the sense that he does care about her to a degree enough to make her not enough to not break up with her because she's in a bad spot.
I don't think it's that he cares about her. I think that he wants to picture himself as a good guy. And in his mind, a good guy, he wants to break up with her 100%. He does not want to be in the relationship anymore, as seen by the beginning where he's like, oh, she's calling me again, sighing with the boys. And she's like, oh, are you coming over? And he's like, I don't know. We had plans. Like, what? And then when that whole stuff happens with her family, that's tough, man. How are you going to leave someone right like that?
But it's not like it's right away because it picks up months later after that.
Months later?
Yeah, it's a few months later, if not a year, right?
No.
It's after her.
It's like a month later.
A month?
At the most.
Just a month? Okay.
Yeah, no, because it's like we see that moment, then it goes out into the snow, we get title cards, and then it smash cuts to Florence Pugh on the bed, like still like sad.
Okay.
So in reality, it's probably been maybe like a month at most.
Okay.
in my mind.
I thought it said like three months or maybe 6. Okay, I guess I'm wrong. But either way, he doesn't seem to hesitate about any other bad decision
Sure.
that he makes.
Yeah.
And I don't think that person would have stuck around with her anyway. It doesn't. I think even with that, even with her tragedy, I think he was a bad enough person that he would have broken up with her anyway.
Maybe. I mean, for me, so they're in a relationship for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been in a relationship for 5.5 years. And towards the end, when stuff gets bad, it kind of is like you kind of don't talk about it. It kind of just like happens and you let it happen.
Yes, I understand that. But the difference is I consider you to be a decent person.
Do you?
Comparatively to that man, I do. And I get that. I'm sure it's very and it is.
I'm not defending any of the bad shit he does, by the way.
I understand what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
you think that's a realistic way for him to act and treat the situation
Sure, yeah.
based off of who he is. And I get what you're saying. I disagree. I think the things we see him do later and the way he talks to even his friends.
Sure.
I don't see that person would have any hesitation in breaking up with. But that's more grapes for me. Like I understand that like other people have and like think that's like a very good representation of that situation. And it's probably just my own personal situation because that's a very personal movie to the filmmaker.
Yeah, it's basically a breakup movie that Ari made, and I do think it is. He's probably projecting himself very heavily into both Danny and I forget the boyfriend's name. It doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't.
So I think it is a very personal movie to him. What did you think of all the cult stuff?
Honestly, almost not enough. Like it was, the stuff that was in it was great. I loved it. I mean, it was most of the movie.
You haven't seen the director's cut, have you?
No, but I want to. Is there more?
There is. So another scene is it's at night, and at one point they need to have a sacrifice. I'm pretty sure, like throw themselves in the river and drown themselves.
Ooh, okay.
And I think it's like no one's like doing it, and then a little boy is like, I'll do it.
Ooh.
And I believe this is after the first day when
the old man
and the old woman scene happens. And
see, that was the best parts of that movie. Is I love that like them jumping off, like all the cult stuff.
Yeah, it was
I thought
fucking
was
shocking, man.
fantastic. Yeah.
But yeah, so that happens, and the little boy's about to kill himself, and Danny actually steps in and is like, "Don't do it. Like, we don't have to do this." And they actually kind of listen to her. That's kind of all I know that's in the director's cut. There's probably more dialogue and stuff like that, but
I plan on watching it. If I ever give a movie a review like I just did,
right,
I always want to try to give it a second chance.
You're a better man than I, Nick.
In case I can get something more out of it, and sometimes I do, and I have come around on movies like that.
Sure,
but sometimes I just hate them more.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to rewatch The Lobster.
Yeah, I was about to ask if you had or not.
No, yeah, I that's another one I plan on rewatching.
Right,
but I'm afraid that the chances for The Lobster being redeemed in my mind are not great.
Yeah, no, I think the cult stuff is really cool. I think speaking about the cult and their rituals, I think this movie is the best representation of psychedelics I've ever seen on screen.
That's fair. I think when it comes to trippy horror movies, Mandy beats it for me.
Sure,
but that is a better representation of people on like a drug like that. I think.
Yeah. I do think Mandy is more like stylized, and I think there's fewer moments of tripping. There's
much less. Yeah.
There's like 2 moments I can think of with Mandy, and then with Nick Cage later on. But with this, it's like every single 20 minutes, they're like, "Hey guys, want to do mushrooms?"
See, yeah, no, that's fair. And the difference is like the visuals, like the mind trippy visuals in Mandy, are made to creep you out, whereas they're more of an incentive for creepy things to happen in Midsommar. Like they are on drugs, and then weird things happen to them, and that,
totally.
It multiplies its effect, which is interesting. Whereas in Mandy, like that one bit where it's his face, but slowly Mandy's face is superimposed over it.
Oh,
that's horrific.
Yeah, it's hard to watch.
Like both those movies, like show a lot of drug use.
Yeah,
and Midsommar's is more realistic, but Mandy isn't a realistic movie anyway.
No, not at all.
No, yeah, just in that department, Mandy hits the spot better for me.
Sure. So what do you? I guess. What is your favorite scene from Midsommar? You said. Do you think it's the cliff scene?
Could be the cliff. I liked when that guy was going into the church to read from that book or the altar, and then you just see the guy behind him with like the skin mask.
Yeah,
that was great.
Completely naked.
Yo, I forgot about that. Yeah.
He might have his shirt on. I know his dick's out.
Yeah, no, that was very interesting and really creepy.
Yeah, man.
So what about you?
I think my favorite scene is Danny's dream.
I don't know if I remember that.
So it's after probably like the second or third day, and she's taking sleeping pills from her buddy. It's the guy from The Good Place. I forget his name. He's the scholar guy who goes into the church and reads from the book. And she wakes up one night and she hears like whispers coming from outside, and it's like the boyfriend and his friends being like, "Come on, let's go, come on, quick." And she looks over and no one's in their beds, and she walks outside. And she just sees them driving away, and then you see the douchebag vape guy like look back at her with like this creepy wide-eyed smile.
Wow. I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, and then she goes to scream, but nothing comes out except no sound comes out, but black smoke starts to envelop her face.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
I thought the black smoke was gonna have like an actual like supernatural part to play.
Right.
But it doesn't, and that's fine. It's not a supernatural movie.
Yeah, I think it's just a melatonin dream. Like when you take sleeping pills, your dreams become more vivid and stuff. Well, I just think it's a really cool scene.
I was waiting that entire movie for like it to kick off Ty West style, and like
oh yeah, right,
and that would have been great. But the ending of that movie in itself, it works.
Yeah, what do you think of the ending?
Boy bear burning in barn.
Boy bear burning in barn with he's got all of his limbs cut off as well.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. Well, I think my favorite part of that, and I liked it a lot, but it was only because of like all the realization that all these people are fucking horrible liars.
Yeah,
Even to
they're
each
all
other.
dirty liars.
And like they tell this one guy who's going to be part of the sacrifice, he was part of the tribe, that it won't hurt.
Yeah, take this medicine. It's not gonna hurt.
And like after 3 seconds of the fire hitting him, he just starts screaming bloody murder.
It's so fucked.
It's so fucked up. I love that. It was so awful. God. We should have an episode on because we talked about more horror movies last week.
We did, yes.
We should have an episode on like the George Romero zombie movies.
Ooh,
that would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
I am unfamiliar, so I'm gonna have to sit down and watch them.
Oh, I have. We'll do the first 3, like the trilogy.
Cool.
That'll be fun. Yeah. So you can borrow them from me.
Cool. Do you have any more thoughts on Midsummer?
Midsummer. As it stands, I think I'd give it a 6.5 or a 7.
Cool.
But I hope to find more out of it in my rewatch, and I think I probably will.
Yeah, sure. I'd give it an 8.5. Although I do think it's a movie that I would rather watch with someone who hasn't seen it.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's a movie that I would go back to on my own, just to like as a pleasure watch, because that movie is not pleasurable at all.
That's how I feel about Mandy. Funnily enough.
Really?
I'll probably.
I could watch Mandy on my own.
Could you?
Yeah.
I will again, but I think it's much more interesting to me. And going back to the Rob Zombie.
It is fun to watch with people who haven't seen it.
Exactly. Yeah. And going back to the Rob Zombie movies,
Mm-hmm.
Same effect. I have so much enjoyment out of showing other people those movies and their reactions to the awful
Yeah.
things that are happening. Like watching The Devil's Rejects with our friend Jesse.
Yeah.
Was amazing.
Name drop number 1.
Yeah, because I there's a song about it that Rob Zombie wrote that is before that. Like it may have came out around the same time, but it gives you some backstory for him, and it's just called The Devil's Rejects. And the song's more poetry than a linear story. But I showed him that song before I showed him the movie, and he had no idea. He was trying to guess what the movie was going to be from the song. And then about halfway through, the most awful thing in that movie happens, and he turns to me.
In Devil's Rejects?
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember.
it's
what it was.
in the. I'm not going to explain it. It's in the motel, and
okay, sure.
and it's right before he brings those country singers out into the middle of the desert.
Oh,
it's right before that.
Yeah.
That's
geez.
yeah, I know. That scene starts playing. And Jesse turns to me, and he's like, "You didn't warn me." I'm like, "Yeah, I did. I showed you the song." But I love people's reaction, and it's the same thing with Mandy. And I would probably get the same feeling out of Midsummer.
Yeah.
Showing somebody else that. But I don't think that movie's near enough to my heart for me to get a lot of oomph out of that.
Yeah.
But I hope to like it more.
Watching Midsummer with people who haven't seen it, and when the cliff scene happens and you just like watch their faces as it happens is so much fun.
Oh my god, yeah. That's so great.
But before you said something about the George Romero trilogy, and speaking of trilogies, this is a perfect segue to talk about our main topic today.
Yes, we wanted to do the John Wick movies.
Yes.
Now, I think how we should do it, because the third one is fresh. It's been about a year, but I know that 2 of our only listeners have not seen the third one.
Okay.
We'll do the first 2 completely.
2 of our only listeners.
Yeah, I know.
Our 2 biggest fans.
We'll do the first 2 completely like spoilers.
Sure.
And then we will
we'll
warn them at least.
Okay, yeah.
And like if we do spoilers, there'll be like no plot stuff.
Yeah, totally. I'm down for that.
So yeah, we'll probably go like movie at a time.
So John Wick 1.
Yeah, started it off. I think it's my second favorite.
I think I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's real solid. It's the best thing about that movie, and it's almost my favorite because it's short, it's tight.
Yeah, it's sweet, man.
And it's great. Like the action sequences are so well done. Even when they go over a little bit too long, I don't care because they're so good. It's fantastic. It's hard to watch the beginning of it.
Oh yeah, because so you saw John Wick before I saw it, right?
Not long, maybe a month or 2.
You saw it, but you did see it before I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
So me going into John Wick, all I knew about was his dog dies, and he goes on a revenge thing. And for me, I don't think animal death is a good thing at all. I think it's a terrible thing. But I was like, oh, like his dog gets killed and he goes on a killing spree. That's a little much. But then
A lot of people say that.
But then we watch it and then it happens and I'm like, murder them all. I do not care anymore. John Wick, you do your thing. I'm 100% behind him after that moment.
On your side.
Yes.
Well, I think Keanu Reeves as an actor is very hit or miss.
Sure.
But there's that point at the ending of the first one, or near the ending, where Vigo has him tied up.
Yeah.
And he explains to Vigo why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah. Is that the scene where he's like, so yeah, I guess I'm back?
So yeah. And I think that is some of Keanu Reeves' best acting, where he's screaming about why, like, he's just like, I was finally given a chance.
Is Willem in the first one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Willem's only in the first one. Yeah.
Yes.
He was. I was finally given a chance to grieve on alone, and you took that from me.
Yeah, man.
And it's such a great moment. Yeah, I don't. It's that movie's so solid in its own way, and you don't need the sequels. Like, I think the only problem with the sequels is they're not self-contained.
Sure.
Like, you couldn't. It's
like international at that point, is what you're saying?
You couldn't end the story at the ending of the second one.
No, you need to keep going.
Exactly. But the first one has a beginning and an ending, and you wouldn't necessarily need a sequel.
But to that end, the filmmakers and Keanu have always said that as long as they're making money, they want to do these movies till the end, right?
The director did say exactly how many he wants to make recently. He wants to make 9.
9 altogether?
9, which I think I figured out how he's going to kind of structure it.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think the first 3 are like the John's Revenge and the Repercussions.
Sure, yeah.
I think the second trilogy is going to be like a...
This is so cool, talking about 3 trilogies of John Wick.
That would be
so
great
awesome.
if it gets pulled off. And they want to do spin-offs and shit, too, which would be fun. Yeah. I want a Winston prequel.
Which one's Winston again?
Winston is the Ian McShane character.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I would love to make it... Tom Hiddleston, I think, would do a good job as a young Ian McShane, and make his if you structure all of his fight scenes to like opera or classical music, I think you could make that so much fun. But I think the second trilogy will be a gang war between the High Table and the Bowery.
Okay, yeah.
And like that'll be 3 movies of its own, and I don't know what the last 3 would be, but
yeah, I don't know.
But I'm excited for like 9.
I will watch John Wicks until they stop making them.
Exactly. They're all good. Like even if you don't like the story and you're getting sick of headshots and people being given gold coins to do some random act. I think they're just the action sequences are all unique enough in their own way. And rewatching the third one, which I did the other day, and this isn't spoilers, but they add a new character, and you see them also fight. And what I love is she has a different style than John. Yeah, because John's always like
she's like a powerhouse.
Exactly, and he's always like 2 shots: shot to the chest, shot to the head.
Yeah.
She walks into a room and takes out 7 people, all headshots in half the time it would have taken John.
Precise.
And it's great.
And she's got a sidekick, too.
She's got 2 sidekicks.
Yeah.
It's great, yeah.
Who are great.
They are very fun.
Yeah.
And that was also weird because that third movie the first movie has a Game of Thrones actor, Theon. And
I am completely unfamiliar with Game of Thrones.
You are.
I'm not the guy to talk to about Game of Thrones.
I remember because...
Sorry, audience.
The first one has that character played by Theon, who has very unfortunate circumstances in that show.
Oh, I know who you're talking about now.
And then in the third John Wick movie, the actor who plays Braun is in it, and I was just like, why do they keep getting Game of Thrones actors to do this? But a lot of the guest stars are my favorite part.
Yeah.
Of those movies. I love Common in the second one.
Yeah, he's great.
Ruby Rose as the mute assassin was very fun.
I think she's like on the lower tier of the of all the side characters that show up, but she's still good.
Yeah, she's
that's
great.
The thing.
There's very little. The third one I think is my favorite.
Really?
Which is funny because it's got the most things in it that I would consider like things I don't like in it.
Sure.
But it's longer than the rest of them.
Yeah.
And I think that like that gives me enough incentive. There's more stuff that I love.
Yeah. Yeah.
In all that because I love like a lot of the new characters, but there are points where I was like, John, you're nice to everybody else. Why aren't you nice to this guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
And things like that.
That's funny because I think number 2 is my favorite.
Yeah. Why is that?
What happens in 2 again?
So 2 starts.
It starts with Peter Stormare, right?
Yes.
Yes.
He's getting his car back.
Such a good opening.
Oh my god.
But what's the plot of it again?
The entire movie?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
just give me a quick, and then it'll come back to me, and I'll remember.
So he gets his car back.
Yep.
And then somebody from his past shows up, the character we haven't met before.
Yeah.
Who helped him.
It's when he goes to Italy, right?
Yes, he does go to Italy. Helped him complete his impossible task that they referenced in the first one, the one that would give him freedom.
Yeah.
And basically, like, there are these weird medallion-like things that they have.
It's like a promise, right?
Yeah,
like
and basically, like you put you'd prick your finger and you'd put your bloody thumbprint on it, and that signifies that you have done this person a favor. And then they owe you one. So he shows up and he's just like, John, you're back. He's like, please don't do this.
Yeah, yeah.
And he gets him to do it. And right after John finishes it, he puts a huge bounty on John's head.
Yeah.
Just to tie off loose ends.
Are the ninjas in John Wick 2?
John Wick 3.
Really?
Zero and his ninjas.
Oh, okay.
Because Zero is my favorite side character.
Huh. Maybe I was blending 2 and 3 then. I think
they happen right after John,
yeah.
So.
I think I like I still think I like 2 the most. Mostly because it delves deeper into the lore of John Wick. And we get more in-depth stuff. I love the stuff in Italy, like the Common and John Wick fight is so good, and when he's in the tunnels is really good. Yeah. And I really love the ending of John Wick 2 where he basically says fuck it and shoots the guy inside the Continental.
Yeah.
And then it's like huge bounty on your head, credits.
Yeah, well, the show of power that Winston does right before that.
Yeah.
When he invites him out, like there, he's like, why am I not dead yet? He's like, because I haven't deemed it so.
Yeah.
And just to show him what he can do, he turns to one of his top men, and he's just like, now. And the guy presses something on his phone, and every single person, like hundreds of civilians in the courtyard, all stop and turn and stare at John.
I do think number 3 is the most fun.
Oh, yeah.
I will say 3 is the most, like, batshit crazy. I think 2 is maybe the darkest.
Fair enough.
And then 1 is just such a great introduction. So, yeah, I think 2 might still be my favorite. I should rewatch them because I haven't seen them since we watched them all.
They're
together.
all great. I've recently seen them. I watched the third one yesterday to rewatch.
Parabellum, right?
Parabellum.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. Which everybody thought was going to be just because it was a type of bullet or a part of a bullet.
Sure.
And it's John Wick.
Yeah.
But it actually was the last half of, I believe, either a Greek or Italian phrase that means if you want peace, prepare for war.
That's a perfect summation of 3.
Yep, and parabellum means prepare for war. And the character who says it in the movie is Winston, and it's great.
Perfect.
Yeah. They're all great, and it's hard to really like, because it's not. There's no definitive ending yet, and they've said there probably never will be. Like,
sure, yeah.
There will be no happy ending for him, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Which means the ending in 9 will probably just him riddled with bullets.
I think what makes John Wick such a great trilogy is it's action porn. But But the thing is, it's action porn made with love.
It's like Kill Bill. It's got the same love and attention to that type of movie that Quentin Tarantino had towards Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to make an homage to my favorite movies. I'm going to do it the best way I can. And that's how I'd say John Wick. John Wick is a love letter to all like older action movies.
Because the first director was the stuntman for Keanu in Matrix, right? Or was that the 2 and 3?
Well, there was one director who worked on all three, because the first movie was directed by two people.
Yes.
And I believe that the director who, the guy who worked with him on The Matrix, has directed all of them.
All of them, okay. Yeah, so it's just a dude steeped in the lore of stuntmen. And I don't know about you, but I think stuntmen are super underappreciated in the industry.
Most people who aren't actors and directors are underappreciated in the industry.
It's goddamn ridiculous that there's no, at least on a large scale, award for stuntmen or stunt moments, like say in Golden Globes or the Oscars. I don't see why they couldn't do it. It's like basically, oh, this is a fucking awesome scene that someone actually did and could have died for. Like, stunt people die. Like, what was the last person that died? It was someone from Deadpool 2, right?
Yeah,
it was a woman who died from a motorcycle crash.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly the circumstances or what else they had worked on, but that was really unfortunate.
Yeah, like they put their life on the line to make awesome shit for people to appreciate, and it's just like no one talks about them, basically.
That's an excellent point. I never even thought about the fact that they don't have, because I've never sat and watched the Oscars. I usually watch clips later.
Yeah, I've been watching the Oscars for the past 7 years or so.
It's never occurred to me that there aren't any awards for stunt coordinations or stunt men.
Yep.
And that's awful.
Yeah, there's awards for cinematography, there's awards for sound design, there's award for score. Basically, there's an award for everything that's like the bigger names, you know, and I think it's a goddamn crime that there's no stunt people appreciation, at least.
You want to hear a funny stunt story?
Sure.
You know who Burt Ward is?
He's the guy who played Robin in the old Batman, right?
The Adam West Batman.
Right.
He went on his first day filming back in 1966 when they were first making that show. They got him up. They were like, "You're gonna go do this," and he was about to do a stunt, and he didn't really realize the circumstances of that yet.
Okay.
And he got into the car to get ready for the stunt, and he sat next to what he thought was Adam West, and it was a Adam West stunt double. And he was just like, "Where's Adam?" He's like, "Oh, he's over there." And he's just like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "We're about to do the stunt. I'm a stunt double." And he's just like, "Well, where's my stunt double?" He's like, "Over there having coffee with Adam."
Oh, perfect.
And so right immediately after that, Burt Ward went up to the producers or whatever, and he was just like, "What? Why is my stunt double not doing the stunt?"
Yeah.
And they were like, "'Cause he doesn't look anything like you." And he's like, "Then why is he here?"
Yeah, why is he my stunt double? That's also to say Keanu does all the stunts he possibly can.
Yeah.
Which is super awesome.
He doesn't do all. I don't think he does it to a Tom Cruise level.
No, Tom Cruise is an insane person. He's a crazy man.
I'm hit or miss with Tom Cruise, but I love his work ethic.
Yeah, I appreciate the man for how much he puts into the effort, but goddamn, he's a crazy person.
Yeah.
Although I will say Edge of Tomorrow is probably one of the greatest action movies I've seen in a long time.
Never seen it, but
Fucking awesome, man. Do you like Groundhog Day?
I've never finished Groundhog Day.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The bits I've seen, I love Groundhog Day. Have you ever seen Scrooged?
No.
We'll have a double feature of Groundhog Day and Scrooged.
Oh, that'd be a great double feature.
That'd be a lot of fun, yeah. But it's an action version of Groundhog Day, right?
It's like Aliens meets Groundhog Day meets I don't know, two people on the run from the government.
Oh, okay.
It's badass.
That's fun.
And it was a manga before, or a manga.
I didn't know that.
You want to say. Yeah, it was a manga before. And do you want to know what? So there's this big kerfuffle with the name of Edge of Tomorrow.
Yes, I know about that.
Because they released it as Edge of Tomorrow.
Live, Die, Repeat.
And then no one saw it. And then they released it on DVD as Live, Die, Repeat. Then no one bought it.
Well,
unfortunately.
The reason why they did that was because they goofed with the posters.
Right.
And Live, Die, Repeat was much bigger.
As like the subline of the title. Sure.
That nobody who went to the theaters, or not to see that movie, but saw the poster, nobody knew it was called Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, when Grandpa walks up to the marquee, he's like, "Oh, let's go see the Live, Die, Repeat movie."
It's like, and it's funny because like we have the opposite problem with books.
Sure.
Where if an author isn't famous, the title will be massive.
Yeah.
But if he is famous, the name will be massive.
Yeah.
And the title will be tiny.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And and it's funny in that capacity because like for some people, I'm sure like everybody knows who Stephen King is.
Yeah.
But maybe if you didn't, you'd be like, this book's called Stephen King.
Oh, sure, yeah. Who's
Like
the Stephen King on the
Exactly.
cover of this book?
I've got the 7th Dark Tower book.
Yeah.
The font is maybe 4 or 5 times bigger for his name than the title of the book.
That's funny. But speaking of Edge of Tomorrow, is the manga, and do you want to know what the name of it was on the manga?
What?
It was called All You Need Is Kill. They should have kept that name because that's the most badass shit I've ever heard.
I bet you if they ever make like an animated, if they make an anime out of it,
I'm unfamiliar if there is or not. I bet there is because it's so popular.
That would work great as an anime title.
Yeah, and Emily Blunt's character is called Full Metal Bitch. So
yes,
that's fucking awesome because she wields a giant fucking sword.
That reminds me of Heavy Metal.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Heavy Metal?
No, I've seen a little bit of heavy metal, but
I think you'd appreciate it.
Yeah, totally.
It's aged a little bit, but it's decent for an adult animation kind of thing.
But yeah, going back to Keanu doing his own stunts, such a cool guy. Seeing all the behind the scenes of him like training, and how much respect he has for his fellow workers is just. Do you think John Wick could have worked without Keanu?
Yeah, but you'd need a very specific and particular. You'd need a Keanu type. I think like somebody similar.
Who's a Keanu type? Let's think.
In Hollywood?
Sure.
Oh, most of that's a tough sell. Like somebody that everybody loves who is unproblematic.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, but he couldn't do a John Wick film.
Holy shit! Could you imagine Tom Hanks as John Wick?
You know what? I bet you a younger Tom Hanks, if you gave him a haircut, so he didn't have the super curly hair.
He's got a scraggly beard.
And he worked
Make him
out.
not sleep for like 3 days.
Maybe that could have worked, but most likely not. I think a young Kevin Spacey could have made a very interesting John Wick. But,
hot take.
But he also, I don't
very problematic.
Exactly,
man.
an incredibly problematic person. So that wouldn't work now.
Sure, yeah.
So
maybe like a Benicio del Toro.
Yes,
but that goes back to Sicario. If you haven't seen that, he's fucking awesome in Sicario, and he's doing like the John Wick shit in Sicario.
I haven't seen that, but I think that would work. I think a certain aged, maybe Hemsworth, might work.
Yeah,
you know what? If you get Chris Evans on like a darker day, I think he could work as a John Wick.
Up on the wrong side of the bed.
Exactly. I think Chris Evans could have worked.
Yeah, man.
Under the right circumstances.
Yeah.
I don't think Keanu would have been the only option, but I think he is the best choice.
Yeah, it's probably the best casting we've seen in a long time for like at least a feature action film. But yeah, do you have anything more you want to say about John Wick?
Just to talk about the third one, just a tad.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
No spoilers. It's got my favorite supporting character.
With the
ninja.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well,
cool.
Minor spoilers. Then
Sure.
Zero is his name, and what I love about him is that not only is he one of the best assassins in his class, and they sprinkle that on very well by what his occupation is, and I love that. But he's a big John Wick fan.
Yeah, he respects him so much, doesn't he?
It's more than respect. He is like number one.
He's like
fan.
a fanboy.
Yes, and I love that. And the only thing I don't love about that is John is very disrespectful to him when he is respectful to almost all of his other enemies.
Right. Yeah.
He's just kind of a dick to him.
Right.
And I don't like that. But I love the passion that Zero has. Like Zero is watching him from like.
It's in like the glass building,
the
right?
glass building.
Yeah.
So he's a couple floors above, but he's looking down and he can see him through the floor. And after John Wick takes 4 or 5 minutes to take care of these two goons, he looks up and Zero's just got 2 thumbs up and a massive smile on his face. It's great. Zero.
It's so awesome. It's like he saw the first 2 and he's
exactly.
Like, "Oh, I get to fight John Wick. This is gonna be great."
It's exactly the point. and like when he's in the Continental. And they're somewhat civil.
Yeah.
And the dog comes to see John Wick. He's like, "Is that the dog?"
Really?
Yeah, that's what he says. Yeah, it's great. I love that he is a John Wick fan. It's fantastic.
I'm totally okay with John Wick movies becoming like self-referential and kind of taking the piss out of itself.
I think that's how you're gonna keep it fresh.
Sure, yeah.
You know, with something like that. I'm excited for John Wick 4. I'm afraid that it's going to have some weird connection to the Matrix.
Ooh, well, is it a spoiler to say that Larry is in it?
No, because he was in the second
introduced
one.
in the second one. Okay, yeah, yeah. Larry is like the king of the underground,
The Bowery King.
the Bowery King. Yeah, I get that. Although I think it might be like a reference. I don't know if it would be like a direct connection.
I feel if there is a direct connection, we would be able to completely skip it in the John Wick films. I think it would be more something in the Matrix.
Sure.
That you could be like, oh, that's also connected to this. But it would be absent in the John Wick films themselves.
Yeah. I'm okay with them referencing the Matrix as long as it's not like at the end of 4, it's like, which pill do you want to take, John Wick? You know?
Well, that's the thing is, if there's some sort of like interesting twist in the 4th Matrix movie that Keanu Reeves is a variation of his characters,
sure, yeah,
in different ways, and you bring John Wick into it that way, I think that could work in the right circumstances. But you couldn't bring that into a John Wick movie.
Yeah.
I think John Wick is as not grounded as it is. It's too grounded for that.
Sure. I do think John Wick 3 is also the most artful. Like it's there's a scene with dancers that's really that's really great. Is that also the one where no spoilers, but when it's John and someone else in public and they're like sneakily shooting at each other?
That's the second one.
I love that part
that's
so much.
That's him in common.
It's so stupid.
It is very stupid, but that's the fun of it.
Yeah, it's so good.
I thought it's very tense in its own way.
Yeah.
No, the third one has a lot of homages to other movies. Like there's him building a gun is an homage to that scene from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Okay,
when he's custom making his own gun.
Right, yeah.
And it's almost the same thing, only John's is more actiony.
Yeah.
But it's got a lot of love for the movies that came before it.
What about a young Clint Eastwood as John Wick instead? Do you think that could work?
I don't. Yes, but
I mean
only
like a 35-year-old John Wick. Yeah.
Well, because Keanu's 55.
Yeah, but that man doesn't look 55.
No, that's fair.
I'd put him at like 43 at the most. How he looks in John Wick. When he shaves the beard, he looks like a 50-year-old man.
That's fair. Yeah. Well, it's funny because Halle Berry's in that, and I was watching it and talking to my friend because he was watching it with me.
Yeah.
And he talked about how much faster she was, and his point was that she was younger. But I looked up their ages.
She's old.
She is 53, and he is 55. Like they're very similar. They just
and she
aged.
also looks. Yeah, she aged amazingly.
They both look great for their ages. Yeah. But no, that's it for me. I think I'd give the overall trilogy as it is now, those 3 movies, probably a 9 in total.
I'm right there with you. It's a 9, man.
They're real solid. I mean, like, and each one has its own like problems, but it's also its own shining moments.
Yeah, a lot of the times I feel like the problems in John Wick are just endearing because it's like people who love the craft, and it's just like, stuff happens that doesn't flow right sometimes, but I know that they're all made with love. John Wick is not a movie to like make a billions of dollars the way like a superhero movie is. Yeah. John Wick fulfills a specific purpose in the lexicon of Hollywood, and it's doing it completely well. And I really appreciate the filmmakers and Keanu for their dedication and the art that they have made, because I think it is art.
No, absolutely. It's unfortunate because it's not the kind of movie that will be ever up for an Oscar.
Yeah, man.
But there are some sequences in those movies that are more creative than most of the huge movies out there right now.
100%.
But no, I think with one incredibly violent movie, we'll go on to our next topic about another incredibly violent movie. if you want to start talking about your Fistful of Thoughts.
All right.
Unless you want me to go first.
No, I'll go first because I think you went first the last time. This is going to be fun. So last week, we gave each other recommendations, and you gave me Man of Steel.
Yes.
Now, I haven't told you exactly how I felt about it. I've mentioned that, like, I liked it, but I wanted to read you my review.
Yeah?
That I wrote.
Are there scathing moments?
Not really.
No? Okay.
No, okay. So, here we go. By the way, welcome to Fistful of Thoughts, the best segment of the
that
movies.
it might be my favorite because it gives us
a lot of fun.
Excuses to talk about things that we don't really get to see.
All right, here we go. I'm going to be totally honest. I went in with little to no expectations, and I actually walked away somewhat surprised. I think there's a really good movie buried in the bloat and fat of sometimes terrible dialogue and exploitative disaster porn. Henry Cavill absolutely makes Clark Kent / Superman his own. He looks the part and completely feels the part as well. He's 100% believable as his character. The best section of this film is the middle. After Clark gets his suit, I really feel like the filmmakers get in stride with what they were going for. The beginning is cheesy and the ending is headache-inducing, but luckily I feel those moments pass with ease. I was dreading the Zod fight, but was pleasantly surprised to learn it didn't overstay its welcome. Superman has never been a favorite hero of mine, but call me crazy, this movie made me like him more. Look, I know everyone is supposed to hate this and denounce it, what with its unnecessary civilian deaths and all that, blah, blah, but in all honesty, that shit would happen. Look, I hate that I'm defending Zack Snyder as well, but this was a decent flick. There's interesting imagery. Once I got used to the camera movement, I began to appreciate it, and when there needed to be emotion, at least with one character's death scene, which coincidentally was my favorite part, it does a damn good job. Henry and Kevin Costner are on their A-game here. Some people aren't good and some are. Michael Shannon also really elevated his material. I honestly think the failing grace of this movie was the script. In another world, this movie with a better script would be a 4-star, maybe even a 4.5-star film. I can kind of understand the really low ratings, but at the same time, the filmmakers are going for a more grounded, we can't let people know who you are, so some people have to die approach, and I err on the side of liking it. All in all, I don't think this is a bad movie whatsoever. Is it great? No. Is it good? I think it is, maybe. This is coming from someone who has never found Superman interesting, so take that as you will. But yeah, Man of Steel surprised me. Oh God, am I a Zack Snyder defender now? No. Watchmen is an outlier. I must remember that. And that's my review of Man of Steel.
You like his Dawn of the Dead, right?
It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's one of the more engaging zombie movies of the more like recent decade. Now, I'm glad that you like it.
I did like it, yeah.
Because
I gave it 3 stars, by the way.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a good rating.
You know, I think that's probably it. Might be my favorite Zack Snyder movie.
Yep.
I think it trumps both Dawn of the Dead and Watchmen.
Wow, you think it's better than Watchmen?
Yeah, I think Watchmen is a lot.
Sure.
And I like Man of Steel is a much simpler idea and story.
I can get that, yeah.
And I think I like Watchmen a lot, but I think that it would work better with like a 10-episode series to really flush everything out.
Have you watched the Watchmen series yet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We watched the last episode together.
We did.
Yeah.
And what did you think of that series?
I liked the series a lot.
I thought it was amazing.
I thought it was very,
so
very
well
good.
Well done. Sorry.
But no, Man of Steel is very, very fun with for me. I love the Kevin Costner parts.
Yes, man, he's so good.
I think a lot of people have gripes with the advice that he gives Clark, but
I like it.
I think it works.
Yeah.
In the sense of like you're going to be like Superman one day.
Yeah,
but until then, you need to keep a lid on it because everyone's going to be after you.
Yeah, especially if he's a kid.
Exactly, yeah.
Or like a teenager, however old he is when Pa Kent with the tornado scene.
I don't do. How do you feel about that scene?
I loved it. That was my favorite scene.
Really?
Yep, and it really got to me emotionally.
I'm mixed on that.
Really?
Scene.
That's crazy, man.
Well, that's the thing is it's not. There are things in that movie I think are bad.
Sure.
That is not one of them.
Yep.
It's just I'm back. Most people hate that scene.
Yeah, I was reading reviews and like some people were like, no, don't save me, and it's like, That's the thing he's been telling him his whole life, that like he made the it's stupid that he went to go save the dog.
He should have had Clark do it.
He should have had Clark do it because Clark could do it really easily, and then it would just be good. But you need the death scene to establish drama, and I thought it was well done.
It is well done. I just don't think that his father should die from something that Superman could save him from. Because in most iterations, he dies of a heart attack.
Sure.
Something that Clark just cannot fathomably stop. Because I think that gives him more of a I can't possibly save everyone air to him. That this movie, but I'm still gonna try.
Right. Yeah.
Where this movie is, I think his father's advice makes him a little less decisive, which I think is fine. I think that works for the story. But in most Superman stories, I like the idea that it happens. His favorite person in the world dies in a way that he can't possibly fix or solve. I think that's very impactful.
Yeah, it's very tragic.
But I don't hate that scene at all. I think it works very well, like him putting his hand up.
Oh man,
like that.
That got me. And then the sound goes away.
Yeah,
and then you just see him scream,
and he's gone.
Ooh, see, I think that worked for me because it stayed in line with the character they were setting up, who Pa Kent is. That he is someone who wants to protect his boy at all cost, and will do the most he can to protect his identity and do anything for him. I do agree that probably Superman should have gone to go rescue their dog or whatever, but I think it really highlights... I think that's the antithesis of the Pa Kent character in that movie.
Fair, yeah.
And you're a much bigger Superman fan than I am.
And that's actually been a recent thing.
Okay, yeah.
It's been over the last year and a half or maybe 2 years that I've become a big Superman fan. Because I used to hate that character. I thought he was very boring, and I started reading the Superman Rebirth stuff, and they give him a son who is named after his Pa Kent, and it's Jonathan Kent.
Yeah.
And he becomes Superboy, and I think giving Superman something very near and dear to his heart, still trying to be Superman, but also teaching somebody how to be Superman, I thought that added a lot to his character and who he was. So that's where my love of the character starts. And I've grown to, because when I was younger, I was like, Batman's the shit, all gritty and dark.
Yeah.
As I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate the character being like God's Boy Scout.
Sure, yeah. The ultimate symbol of hope.
Exactly, yeah. I love that. And that's the thing, is this movie doesn't have that, and I think that's fine, because not every version of that character needs to be the same.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I think it's a solid movie despite the fact that it is a Superman movie.
Yeah.
And that comes from the direction is decent. The movie looks beautiful. There are a lot of really great. The CGI is mostly great.
It's mostly great. Yeah,
I
would say that as well.
Some jarring moments. I love where that when he's got what are they called? Not world eaters, but where they're terraforming the world.
I forget the name as well.
But he's fighting those basically Doc Ock's arms.
That was my least favorite part of the movie.
It's not great.
Yeah.
But I like the fight in Metropolis quite a bit.
With Zod?
With Zod, yeah. I think that's a lot of fun.
Now, in my mind, when I watched it, it was only like a 5-minute scene. Was I imagining that, or was it really that short?
It's not long.
Okay.
It's not long because I think it's more like 10.
Okay, yeah.
But because they go out into space, and then they come right back down. Yeah.
Also, did you notice the satellite is a Wayne Enterprises satellite?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. I think that's
of course you did.
Great. I only knew about that because when I was before I even saw the movie, I'd been told about that. But I love that that last. I wouldn't say go back and rewatch Batman v Superman.
Sure.
But go back and rewatch the beginning.
Yeah.
Because it lines up perfectly.
There are moments in BVS that I really appreciate.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, like trying to hold Superman accountable and stuff. One of the biggest issues I had in BVS was all the Jesus imagery of Superman. And honestly, I didn't find it that overwhelming in
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel. I think there was one moment where I was like, "Oh, come on!"
Is that with
When he floats out into space and he does the T pose.
fair? You didn't have a problem with him in the church where he literally had Jesus over his shoulder?
I didn't notice it.
Yeah, no.
If I'm being totally honest.
That's the one that people usually hammer. Well, that's the thing. If you didn't notice it, then it did its job.
Because I don't think it was overt.
Yeah, exactly.
Like him, Superman in BVS, like flying down, doing like a T pose with the sun behind him, saving someone. That's so like, I get it. You're fucking Jesus, dude.
I don't mind. I have a bigger problem with him floating out of the spaceship in Man of Steel because he can move at any rate possible.
Oh, I know. That was so stupid. And he's going to go save Lois Lane, who's hurtling towards
exactly.
Earth. Yeah.
And but in Batman v Superman, when he's slowly going down like that, I don't mind that because it's supposed to represent how people feel about him.
Sure.
And not necessarily like what it is. What he is, because like it's kind of slowed down and it's not exactly like in real time that moment because his cape is like flowing really small. But I get that.
Yeah,
that's kind of it's a little on the nose.
Speaking of the CG though, I did want to mention that after the movie, I did watch I like to watch special features.
Mm-hmm.
I know you do too, right?
Yeah.
And I watched the one about them working out and how they did the action scenes. Did you see that one?
No, I haven't seen any of the special features from Man of Steel.
So basically, what I really appreciated was I liked the action for the most part. How they showed what super speed would look like in a fight. I thought it was well realized. I thought some CG moments were a little choppy, but I also were like, some of these moments are really good. And that's because when they were doing the action scenes, they tried to film as much practical as they could.
Oh, okay. That
so,
makes
like,
sense.
for instance, when Superman is like thrown through a building and he like hits a safe and then he stands up and then shoots out, they filmed the part where Henry Cavill like slams against a safe and then he steps down and then he like lunges forward and it goes back into CGI. And I think those little touches are what really made it not like sensory overload for me.
Okay. No, that's completely fair. I think the scenes in Smallville, like the fight scenes, are handled better.
Yes, I agree.
Than in Metropolis, and that I think is a pretty good representation of how the character is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like as Superman is like he's trying to save people.
Yeah,
minimize
he tells people to
damage.
get inside and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Where in Metropolis he's taking
he jumps over a tanker and it just explodes behind him.
He takes a different alien's face and just like drags it across a building.
Yeah,
and things like that,
great.
Which I think is an awesome action moment.
Sure,
but it's not for a Superman movie. And I hate the one thing I do hate is at the very end. When everything, and I'm not the first person to say this, I've heard this in a million other things.
Oh, with the satellite?
No, not the satellite, although the satellite's a completely different issue.
Yeah.
At the very end when he starts working for the Daily Planet.
Sure.
And this woman who 2 days prior was under rubble, almost died, may have some serious lung problems from the amount of dust she had to breathe in.
Do you think it was 2 days later? I imagine it was like a month and a half to 2 months because all the buildings are better. Like they're all repaired.
That's fair, but that's still an incredibly traumatic moment.
Sure.
And immediately, guys like, "Hey, Jenny, you want to go on a date?" And she's like, "Not on your life, sport."
Yeah, courtside seats, babe.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's my main problem with the movie is the script. I think the script is bad. There's some really terrible lines. I was taking notes and I wrote down some like terrible lines that just like stood right out to me.
I think there's a good balance of horrible and great lines in that movie. Which isn't because that I was gonna mention this on the last podcast, but I didn't. I forgot.
Yeah.
Man of Steel and Batman Begins have the same writing team, pretty much.
Which is crazy to me.
It's a little reversed. David S. Goyer and Christopher Nolan both worked on the story for each Man of Steel and Batman Begins. Although where you can see it kind of like changes, it's Christopher Nolan would write the script, I believe, for Batman Begins, and then David S. Goyer would write the full script for Man of Steel. And I think from there, I wouldn't say it's probably not his fault. It's probably more of a Zack Snyder issue.
Yes.
Because Christopher Nolan had a huge hand to play in Man of Steel.
Yeah. I was reading a bit about it afterwards, and it was, I believe what it was is they were writing the script, David S. Goyer and Christopher Nolan, or at least coming up with the story behind it, and they were penning Ben Affleck to direct it.
Yes.
And then when Zack Snyder was signed on, Christopher Nolan kind of gave up control of the story and pretty much handed it over, saying it's a Zack Snyder picture now. I just like came up with like the outline basically.
Well,
and it shows.
Zack Snyder actually apparently fought for the like Superman killing Zod, and
which I don't mind.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
But apparently Christopher Nolan was against that, but eventually was like came around to it.
Yeah, he was gonna like throw him in like some dimension prison or some bullshit.
Which is how they've done it before. And that's fine.
So I wanted to read a couple of my favorite lines from Man of Steel.
Your actual favorites?
No.
Okay.
They're terrible.
These are the bad ones.
They're goddamn awful. I hated when Jor-El, is his name Jor-El?
His dad?
Yeah. Says to Zod, we had a child, Zod. A boy child. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Because, like, they call him his son multiple times. It's not like they don't have a name for son. Why say a boy child?
I wonder if that's supposed to have significance, because it's the first natural-born child.
Sure.
All the rest are, like, produced through...
In that weird goo shit.
Exactly, yeah. So I wonder if that's any significance about that.
Yeah. Doesn't make it any less stupid, though.
No, I agree. It's still a weird line.
Another one is Amy Adams when she's at the Alaskan base and she gets her like quarters where she's gonna sleep, and she says, "What if I need to tinkle?" No grown woman says tinkle.
I always took that she was being
facetious
and sarcastic with him. Yeah,
okay.
That's how I took that line. But it does. If it doesn't sound like that, I could be wrong.
It didn't sound like that to me. It sounded like an actual question. I don't know. And then finally, when he like saves Lois, and then they kiss, and she's like, "It's all downhill after the first kiss." And he's like, "Well, I'm not human, so that doesn't apply."
I like the way he says that. He's like, "I think that only applies to humans."
Yeah,
I thought that was cute.
No,
I thought him saying that was cute.
It's goddamn awful. But yeah, other than that, I thought at the beginning, I did not expect this movie to be as sci-fi heavy as it was.
Well, that's what I'm glad about. I think I love the view we get of Krypton at the very beginning and how strange and weird it was.
Why did Krypton explode? Did I miss that?
They talked about I believe it's probably more complicated than this. They had used up all their resources.
Right.
So they started harvesting their planet's core.
Oh, okay. And it just supernova basically. Or
yeah, pretty
like
much.
That. Okay. That makes sense, I guess.
And I like that the destruction of the planet makes sense because all these people are pre-programmed to be what they are.
Yeah.
Like they are basically assigned something at birth, and their brain is programmed to do that thing the best they can.
Yeah.
Which is why Zod is so intense about what he's doing.
Sure, yeah.
But another fun thing just to throw in there is Jor-El was clearly born to be a scientist.
His name was Jor-El. Nick, get your facts straight.
J-O-R.
No, it's Jar.
No, it's Jor.
It's Jar!
At least in the comics, it's Jor.
Well, it's Jar in Zack Snyder's world.
It's not Jar. Somebody might say it Jar, but it's Jor.
They call him Jar.
It's Jor-El. I swear
Whatever, it doesn't matter. He's dead. Also, Kurt Russell was... not Kurt Russell.
Russell Crowe?
Russell Crowe. Kurt Russell Crowe.
Well, what I was going to say
was better when he was dead.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. What I like about that is if he was born to be a scientist, he learned the kung fu on his own. Like that is something that he decided to learn because he wasn't born to be a soldier.
I suppose so. You're right.
I like that. That means these people have hobbies.
Yeah, right.
Like it adds something to the world.
Yeah.
That he thought that there might be a moment where he needs to fight somebody, because it makes sense because he knows the world's coming to an end.
Sure.
So I like that. I think that adds to the character.
Yeah, I thought the beginning stuff on Krypton was fine. A lot of it I thought was really cheesy and dumb looking.
Oh
But
my god!
whatever. It's like another world, and it's like superhero.
I'm gonna
stuff,
make
so.
you watch. I already now I've got them lined up for my next like few
recommendations
for you, and one of them is gonna be 1978 Superman.
Okay, yeah, no, I haven't seen it.
It's the only one of those first four that I have.
Yeah.
And it's solid, but you take it with a grain of salt because it's old and it's schlocky and it's for
yeah.
kids, and that'll be sometime down the line. But
I guess I can give my final thoughts on Man of Steel. Let me just look at my notes real quick. Michael Shannon is great.
so good.
Yeah, I thought the action editing, at least for Russell Crowe's scene, was bad. It was very choppy, and I couldn't really see what was going on.
Fair.
Oh my god. When the bus is about to go, I realize why he did it. It makes sense why the bus driver did it. But when the bus was just about to go over the bridge, and he pulls the stop sign out, or he pulls the door open. He obviously pulls the door open because then kids can get out and swim out. But the way it's shot is they're about to go off, and then it's like no sound, and the stop sign just goes, and then they go off, and I died laughing. Like, I had to pause it because I was laughing so
That's
hard.
funny.
Because it just came off as comical to me.
Okay.
Pa Kent's death scene was great to me. I really liked the TV scene when Zod took over all the TVs.
That's great, and it was in different languages.
Yeah, that was really cool. There was a lot of match cuts. Did you recognize that?
What do you mean?
So a match cut is, for example, in 2001 when the apes throw the bone up in the air, and then it just cuts to the spaceship right where the bone is. There's like 3 or 4 of those in Man of Steel.
I didn't notice that.
It's not like a knock against him. I was just like, oh yeah, that's a technique he likes.
That's a movie that he uses. He has a lot of homages from different movies.
Yeah.
Like you see a bunch of like these weird Kryptonian helicopters.
Yeah.
On Krypton in the beginning, and that shot is taken right out of Apocalypse Now.
Yes, I did put that in my notes. It was at Apocalypse Now. 2 more things. Let's see. I thought the image of Clark on the skulls when Zod is like talking to him in like a dream state was really cool. And when Superman and Lois Lane are about to part ways and the military's behind them, and it's like the shot of them onward, that's straight out of Watchmen.
Oh, well, there's a few things that he throws in, like at the very beginning of Batman v Superman, when you're about to see some Batman for the first time, there is a sign, like a big billboard, and "The End Is Nigh" is written on it in the same way.
Nice,
which is cool. Yeah,
very cool. Man of Steel. I would say it might be a good movie.
I think it's a decent movie. It seems to be like or dislike. Like there's nobody's like, but. It's got merit, I think.
Yeah, it's bloated. There's some fat that could be trimmed off. Like I said in my review, in another world with a better script, it could be a really fantastic movie.
It looks like J.J. Abrams might be the next person to make a Superman movie, and I think that's perfect.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think I'm not a fan of a lot of his work.
Yeah,
but I think he was born to make a Superman film.
Oh, okay. So maybe working with his son. He's like a comic book guy, right?
His son, yeah, but they've written a Spider-Man comic together.
That's awesome.
And I don't know how good it is. I've never read it. But maybe, yeah, if it was something like that, I think if he works, I would like a Superman movie. I would like Christopher Nolan to give it another shot at producing with J.J. Abrams. I think that might.
Would you want
be
it
better.
to be in the same style as this one, where it's more gritty? You can't let people know you're Superman, or would you want it to be like, you're Superman, you got to be out there and help these people, kind of thing?
You could do a little bit of a mix of both, but I maybe started off grittier with like you can't know, but by the end he truly embraces who he is. But,
I mean, you kind of get that with Pa Kent being like, you're gonna be great, people will know about you, but then when Jor-El. I don't know if his name is actually Jar.
It's not. It's Jor.
I just like being a dick.
I know.
When he's like, you're Superman now. You're good, dude. Go out there and save some people. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I really like the scene. Like, when that happens. Jor-El, yes. Played by Russell Crowe.
Kurt Russell Crowe.
Yeah, that part's great. So, yeah, Superman. I would watch it again.
Yeah.
It's like, on my DCEU list, I would say it goes Shazam, Wonder Woman, Man of Steel.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. Not disappointed in it at all.
No, I thought you would like it.
Yeah.
I was afraid that you'd hate it, but I figured you'd like it because it's one of his more competent movies.
No.
It's an interesting take on a superhero film.
Yeah. No, I went in knowing like people don't like this movie, but I also went in knowing that you really like this movie, so I was looking for stuff to appreciate, and I did appreciate some stuff.
Yeah,
I did like some stuff, but I appreciated a lot of it.
It's absolutely got merit.
Yeah.
It's at the very least it's competent.
Yes. Definitely not the worst movie I've ever seen.
I like how they were able to scale back his power, because one thing that the movies ignore is in the 60s and 70s and such, they really toned down how powerful he is in the comics.
Right. Okay.
To more of what he is in Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Where he's holding that oil rig at bay.
Yeah.
But
I love that scene.
If it was like Christopher Reeve's Superman, he would have just picked it up.
Sure. Yeah. He'd be flying and just holding it with one arm.
Just toss
right?
it into the sun.
Yeah.
It would have been fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I just want to end my thoughts with Henry Cavill is so good. That dude is so committed and put in so much work, and I appreciate him as an actor so much.
All of them, everybody cast for the Zack Snyder ones have been perfect, except for, and I might be wrong when we get the Snyder cut, but the only one that I thought is not perfect in casting was the Flash.
You don't like that guy?
I don't mind him. I mean, the stuff about him.
I know that came out recently.
But
he's kind of a dick. Yeah.
But I don't think. I thought that was too much of an attempt, and this could just be because of Joss Whedon.
Sure.
In the new one, but it was too much an attempt to replicate the Tony Stark Spider-Man.
Too quippy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that.
And he looked up to the rich guy who has all gadgets.
That's so true. Yeah, you're right.
Too Spider-Man and Iron Man-ish.
Yeah.
But maybe that will work under the Zack Snyder way a little bit better, and we'll find out. But I think I'm one of the things I'm really looking forward to see with the Snyder cut is J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah,
because I think he will do a great job, and we just saw so little of him.
Yeah,
that it was nothing.
I love J.K. He can do it. He can do no wrong.
I think he'll be absolutely great.
But on to you. You're for a few thoughts more. What did you watch
I
gave you?
The Life Aquatic, and
with Steve Zissou.
Yeah. I refuse to say the full title for no good reason. I really
The Life Aquatic with Jar-El.
Yeah, with Jar-El.
With Kurt Russell Crowe.
Jar and Kel. I enjoyed it quite a lot. I'm not
That's
the biggest
awesome to hear.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Wes Anderson fan. I think I've seen 3 of his movies.
You've seen Moonrise?
Moonrise. Well, now I've seen 4, but yeah,
Budapest.
Moonrise. What was it?
Grand Budapest.
Grand Budapest Hotel and the Royal Tenenbaums.
Nice. Okay.
Royal Tenenbaums is probably my favorite.
Yeah, man.
I think The Life
movie.
Aquatic will be my second favorite. And that's it because it was really good. It was very emotional. I liked the.
Do you know what I mean when I recommended it and said it's not very Wes Anderson-y? There's the moments, but it's not quirky and whimsical like Grand Budapest is.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of quirky and whimsical moments, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I think the entire setup of their ship and the fact that all of the animals are claymation.
Yeah,
that makes it very Wes Anderson-y.
Yeah.
But I like that. I thought that was endearing.
Yeah,
and I think that made the moment at the end when they see the jaguar shark.
Yeah, man.
More impactful. If it was a real shark or a CGI one, it wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah.
But because it fit in with the style of everything else, I think that made it a better moment.
Yeah, I feel like in every Wes Anderson movie, there is one line read, mostly near the end or the middle, that breaks my heart every single time. And for Royal Tenenbaums, it's at the very end when is Ben Stiller Richie? No, Ben Stiller is Chaz, I believe.
Yeah, the fitness one.
The fitness guy whose wife died and all that stuff. And his dad Royal comes up to him and just be like, "Are you okay, son?" And almost in tears, he's just like, "I've had a really rough year, Dad."
Yeah.
And that just saying that gives me chills. And then in Life Aquatic, it's Bill Murray pretty much crying and going "Do you think he remembers me?"
That was very That got me, and then her bringing up was the 12-year thing significant to any other part of the movie?
What do you mean?
Because the journalist woman who was writing a piece about it,
Yeah.
After that happened, she like still in that moment.
Yeah.
She says in 12 years he'll be 11 and a half years old, talking about her baby.
Okay,
she says that almost randomly.
Yeah.
And Bill Murray turns to her and says, "That was my favorite age."
Oh.
That gets me. I don't like
Yeah.
it. Almost has no place, but
No,
it's very well done.
I think it is like a random line, but I think it goes back to the whimsical nature of wanting to adventure and explore and find places that are new.
Were you happy during the credits to find out that was not their last adventure?
Yeah, I mean, even if it was, that's fine. But I do love the credits and them walking back down to the ship and all that stuff. It's very sweet. I love Bill Murray's last line, which is "This is an adventure."
That was an interesting moment, but it was sad.
It's melancholy.
Yeah, it was very like, yeah, it is an adventure, but it's not what I had anticipated or
totally.
necessarily wanted. And no, I liked it a lot. Like, yeah, the style of the whole thing was very interesting. I liked it. They're very different movies, but they're both like incredibly stylized, specifically towards the directors and like comparatively to The Lobster.
Sure.
I liked this a lot more, and
it's a lot more heartfelt and hopeful.
The main
I would
characters are similar in mostly no ways, but how self-centered
totally
they are, and Bill Murray plays like a very endearing, self-centered man.
Yeah.
This story reminded me of a lot of a movie that I saw years ago with him called Broken Flowers.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Which I parts of it were very memorable, other parts weren't great, but the ending stuck out to me. And that movie was about, he gets a letter from, he's not sure, just a past love, saying that he has a son, but it has no information on where to find them or how to get in touch or anything like that. And he doesn't know who sent the letter, and he doesn't know the name of his child. So he goes to try to goes to all of his exes, and he can't find out who it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminded me a lot of that because of the whole, he doesn't want to be a father, but he is.
Isn't there one moment where Owen Wilson like asks him if he can call him dad, and he's like, no.
He says he's just like, yeah, you can't call me that. You can come up with a different nickname. And so they settle on Stevesy.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? One small thing that I loved in the beginning when they're at that very fancy thing, like his documentary had just premiered.
Uh-huh.
And somebody is having him sign autographs under these different pictures.
Okay, yeah.
Did you ever notice what that guy's wearing when he turns around and leaves?
No.
After Bill Murray tells him, because he's got like a decent like suit jacket and a decent shirt. But after Bill Murray realizes that he's just trying to get him to sign all these things so he can sell them, when he tells him to scram, when he turns around, he's wearing really baggy plaid sweatpants.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's great.
I thought that was fun, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
I think my favorite, I thought the Owen Wilson character was very relatable.
Yeah.
And I liked how he was dumb but really competent.
Yeah.
Like he knew how to get jobs done, even if they weren't his job.
Yeah.
But socially he was not a very smart person.
Yeah.
But he was very sweet, and he was
Yeah.
an endearing character. He was a very relatable person, and Willem Dafoe was probably my favorite part of
He's
the
so
movie.
good, isn't he?
That might be my favorite Willem Dafoe performance. And I think that's because I love it when actors who are incredibly great, serious, dramatic actors do something weird and nail it.
Yeah.
It always gets me.
Yeah.
I love him as Klaus.
Yeah.
It is adorable.
He's so jealous of Owen Wilson's character.
He's so jealous, and he's such a lovely like
yeah, he like slaps him at one point, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that." Or
no, well,
like
no,
that.
he was straight out about it. He slapped him, and then Owen Wilson said, "If you ever touch me again, I will kick your teeth in."
Yeah.
And then like, a little later, just to get the aggressions out, Owen Wilson goes up to him and just slaps him.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, "Why did you do that? I slapped you, and then you threatened me. We were even."
Yeah.
And I thought that was great.
What did you think of the soundtrack? Because it's all that one dude with the guitar doing covers of David Bowie songs.
Except for one moment, which was the 30th Century Man.
Okay, yeah.
Which stood out to me because I know that song from Futurama.
Oh, really?
That's where I first heard it. Yeah, one of the movies that they had made for Futurama.
Okay.
Which it was my favorite one. It was
Beast with a Billion Backs.
No, it was
Bender's Big Score.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Bender's Big Score, where it shows Fry becoming Lars. And redoing it.
Man, what a good one.
That's my favorite anything Futurama. I think it's very heartfelt, and it's a very, very good moment.
Yeah.
A very good entire series.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I love the Al Gore joke where it's past when he's not, like, he's no longer up for president, and now he's a cab driver.
Right.
and somebody gives him $100 bill as a tip, and he's like, it's like, great, this will get me. And then he looks very serious into the camera, 1 gallon of gas. But no, I loved The Life Aquatic quite a bit. I think I'd give it probably 4 stars out of 5.
Okay.
Maybe 3.5 for small stuff, but
Yeah.
I
Maybe
think
like
overall,
a strong 3.5.
Yeah. I really enjoyed myself. I had a lot of fun.
Nice.
I teared up a little at the end,
Yeah, man.
and so that's all I could really hope for. Yeah, I think it's my second favorite. Nothing has been able to beat the Royal Tenenbaums for me.
That's how it is for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like Royal Tenenbaums is probably Wes's most competent movie. I would argue that Grand Budapest was, but I'm surprised you don't like Grand Budapest so much.
I don't dislike it. I just there are a lot of movies that were up for Best Picture that year that I want to go back and rewatch.
Yeah,
because I didn't.
Because you were a big Boyhood guy.
I was a big Boyhood
time.
guy, and that's more of a nostalgia for my own past thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Than the how well the movie was made.
Yeah.
But and I still love that movie to death.
Yeah.
But
it took 12 years to make, Nick.
12 years.
It took 12 years.
It is. I love that Red Letter Media thing. That is impressive, no matter how you feel about it.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
It's cool. It's a really cool thing that they did.
Yeah, and I like the story, of just this kid growing up.
Yeah.
And he has his first girlfriend and his parents divorced, and it's just all realistic things, and he has to deal with a not so great stepdad and things like that, and it was good, and it was a nice tread into the past. And I have an interesting connection with that movie through the director. One of my dad's favorite movies of all time is Dazed and Confused.
Right.
And
I've seen that one, right?
Yeah, you watched it with me.
Okay, cool.
And it's his favorite. It's definitely his favorite Richard Linklater movie.
Yeah.
And that's because it reminds him of when he was that age.
Yeah, yeah.
And my favorite Richard Linklater movie is Boyhood because it reminds me of everything up until that age.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think is funny. So me and my dad have that, and that I think that also helps with that.
Yeah.
Having that, but I didn't like Birdman that much.
That was my favorite of the year. I fucking love Birdman.
I want to go back and rewatch it because I think I have a stronger appreciation for that kind of movie now.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I get people being like, "Oh, it's just like Hollywood is so great," blah blah blah. But like, I don't know. That's a different conversation altogether. Yeah. I love Birdman.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm sure we'll talk about it again.
Yeah, sure.
Someday I'll rewatch it.
Maybe we'll do a topic where we talk about like the Oscar winners.
I would love to do that.
Best pictures for the past 10 years or so.
Oh, but the best picture winners, or
like
what it was up against and things like that.
Yeah.
I'd prepared enough to do that for last year because I've seen all of the best picture noms now.
Right, and I haven't.
No, but I own most of them. So
yeah, so I got to get around.
We
to
could
that
make
eventually.
that work. I mean, back to the Life Aquatic.
Yeah.
Going back to excellent performances. Really lovely imagery and scenery, and not a lot of flaws in most of it. Like, nobody was unlikable.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to a taste thing.
Exactly.
Like if you're not into Wes's style, you're just not into it.
I have really strange tastes in movies. And I don't know.
I think that might go for both of us.
Yeah, both of us like niche stuff and different niche stuff. I remember watching Ex Machina, and you left.
Yeah.
And you ended up just finishing it out on synopsis.
I did end up watching it.
Did you?
Yeah, no, I did. It's fine. I don't think it's an amazing movie.
I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's good.
Yeah, I'd give it like a 6 out of 5, 6.5.
6.5.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. I think it's solid. It's nothing new,
Exactly.
but the performances are very
the
good.
best part's the dance scene.
Yes.
Yeah, that's easily the best part.
But no, I think Life Aquatic. I 4. So an 8 out of 10. That'd be mine.
Yeah, cool, man.
Yeah, I loved it. I'll probably rewatch it at one point.
Yeah.
I don't, because I was thinking about it because you gave me the Criterion Collection.
I have the Criterion
copy,
Collection. Yeah.
and I'm thinking I liked it enough to maybe buy my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think you would really like Rushmore as well.
that's another Wes Anderson picture.
That's his first big one because he made Bottle Rocket and then he made Rushmore, which is about this like snotty kind of private school kid who's like in a million clubs and he like falls in love with a teacher and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it turns out in the end that he's actually like a really endearing guy and like he's just got a really hard situation.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. It's really a lot of fun. So why don't you wrap up your thoughts about Life Aquatic and we get to our Rex?
Yeah. No, I liked it. I'll watch it again. Bill Murray killed it.
Yeah, totally.
But he's playing the same character he always kind of plays.
Kind of like apathetic douchebag who comes around at the end.
Exactly. And he does it so well it doesn't get old.
Yeah, totally.
You know.
And he's fun to watch.
But yeah, no, I give it I'd recommend it to anybody who hasn't seen it.
Cool. We both liked our movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did
great.
it. Woo. All right, on to our recommendations and what we're going to do for next week. Why don't you start?
Well, I'll start with what I'm going to do. I'm going to read absolutely more DC comic stuff.
Right.
Always. That's just who I am. But I think I still haven't seen Uncut Gems. So that's something that I got to get on.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, that's about it. And I'll talk about whatever I ended up reading next week when we get to it. But I think there's a few movies I've been thinking about giving you, and one was Come to Daddy, but I'm gonna wait for that.
Okay.
Because I want to know your opinion on that movie. But you've given me movies that are closer to your heart.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I've just given you movies I want to hear your opinion on.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna have you watch Harold and Maude.
Harold and Maude. All right.
Which is I think my favorite romantic comedy.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, what about you? What are you gonna do?
I am gonna keep watching movies. One of the fun things I did on the side is I have an Oculus Quest, a VR system, and I downloaded a bunch of custom songs for Beat Saber. So I have all like the meme songs. I have like All Star. I have
That's
the
great.
DuckTales theme song that I downloaded as well. It's a lot of fun. It's all that stuff.
That's
but
so fun.
yeah, I'm gonna just keep on doing that. Keep on working on the podcast with you. We're gonna start doing more commentary tracks too. So it'll probably be we do podcasts on Tuesdays and then commentary tracks on Fridays. Hopefully, podcast matters more than the commentary tracks. So if we miss a week with commentary tracks, that's okay for us. But we want to keep on schedule with podcasts because we really like doing this.
Plus, it's okay if we miss a couple commentaries, considering like we're gonna run out of movies.
Yeah,
eventually.
yeah. And I don't know about you, but I feel like the commentary tracks are more for us.
Yeah, that's more just an excuse to watch something together and get all our thoughts.
And
out.
we've been doing that for the past 3 years now.
Yeah,
just watching movies together.
Now we're just like recording it.
Yeah,
which is fine by me.
Yeah. So, but the podcast is more like we get to talk about shit that we like. Maybe we even like wouldn't really talk about. Like, I don't think we would talk about this much at length for John Wick that we did.
No, not this way.
Yeah.
We'd probably have all these conversations, but separately. And,
sure.
and like we'd probably say all those things about John Wick.
Yeah.
But over the course of like a year,
yeah,
occasionally,
and
when
not
it gets
as concise as we're putting it in this format.
No, I love this. I think this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It
feels good to be a successful podcast host, doesn't it, Nick?
Oh, it's great. I just can't wait for the
success
part.
to come.
Yeah.
All right, and then my rec for you is Porco Rosso.
That's the Studio Ghibli film, right?
It is a Studio Ghibli film. Are you familiar with what it's about at all?
No, not at all.
So I believe it's one of the earlier ones, and it's about this World War II fighter pilot, or it might take place a little after World War II. And And basically what it is that he's a man who was turned into a pig. Like he's a pig man.
Okay.
And he's jaded, and he's like does illegal runs for people with his airplane. And he's got different like people he talks to and stuff. It's a lot of fun. There's really great one-liners that he provides, and it's a really sweet movie by the end of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll give it a shot. Yeah.
highly recommend it.
This is gonna be. I hope we go like on a back and forth of every week. We'll hate each other's recommends, but the next one we'll both love them.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're gonna be like, Harold Maude was the worst thing I've ever
I
seen.
don't know. Maybe I'll like it.
I think you'll love it.
Yeah.
I was just joking. I think you're gonna really enjoy it.
But yeah, that brings us to the end of what, episode 3?
This is episode 3. Yep.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. Damn it.
Episode 3. What other episode 3s are there?
That Battle of Five Armies.
War for the Planet of the Apes.
Parabellum. Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Yes, that's the one I was trying to think of what the
Both.
Yeah.
Both War and Escape would be the
War and
third
Escape
of
are the third.
their trilogies.
But also Return of the Jedi and
The Dark Knight Rises.
Rise of Skywalker.
Back to the Future
the
Part
Dark
3.
Knight Rises of Skywalker. All right, this is a dumb bit. We should end it.
Well, that would be episode 9.
Well, it's a 3 and then a 3 and a 3. Too much math.
That's 18.
All right, we need to stop before our brains explode. All right, thanks for listening, guys.
See ya.
See you later.